People who lost their jobs by going off on a customer. What is your story? I didn't say this, but I saw it happen. Working at Burger King many years ago. I was working the drive-thru register, which was close enough to the front registers that I could hear conversations. One of my coworkers was taking an order from a lady who kept asking how much her total was, and then canceling food on it and changing her mind. I guess she was trying to keep under a certain dollar amount? Well, at the Burger King the first worked at, any cancelled food on an order needed a manager's password, thanks to one asshole who stole money by putting in someone's order, telling them the total, and then cancelling out the order and pocketing the money. So the manager had come by 3 or 4 times at that point. This was during dinner time, mind you, so there was a line of customers out the door waiting to order. Finally, my coworker pulled out a pad of paper and a calculator. He started writing this woman's order down and totaling it out by hand. The woman asked him why he was doing that, and he told her, "When you make up your mind about what you want, then I'll put it in the register." This pissed off the lady, so she grabbed the notebook and tried to hit my coworker with it. He snatched it back from her and told her, "Get the fuck out." My manager was only going to write him up for it since the manager agreed that the lady absolutely deserved it, but my manager had to follow company policy, but he already had 2 write-ups on file, so she had to fire him. Edit. Oh hey, my first gold. This fills me with such rage to read. My roommate worked at a place that did welding. There was a fire in the shop, thanks Porter, he's a former Marine, so after most people got out, everyone wasn't accounted for, he ran back into the upstairs office to help everyone else get out. Not a major fire or anything, no lives lost. Next day, he gets written up for violating company emergency policy. It was his 3rd write-up, he got fired. Sorry to fuel your rage fire. I worked for Kroger from high school to early college. One day I was coming from the back dock when I saw a woman slip and fall and hit her head on the corner of the end cap. She gashed her head open a bit and said her one side felt a little numb. I grabbed the emergency kit, put on the latex gloves, grabbed a 4x4 bandage and held it over her to the bone cut and supported her neck. We called 911 and they were there in a few minutes. Medics take over, put AC collar on her and get her ready to transport. Medica say thanks and leave with her. A few minutes later I get called into the manager's office by our absolute cunt rag of an assistant manager. She has a write-up ready and I ask what for. She was writing me up for helping her because that establishes we did something to cause it. I explained to her that I was one of 5 people in the store who were trained to use the BBP kit, bloodborne pathogen. She didn't care. I called the store general manager and he told her to rip it up and asked her what was wrong with her, to let a customer sit there with a massively bleeding head wound and possible neck injury or do something? He tore the write-up the next day and about 2 weeks later she was transferred to one of the worst stores in the zone. Many a year ago I worked at a home improvement store called Menards. I was a cart pusher, which was nice as I was outside all the time. Anyway, we gather about 25 to 30 shopping carts together and push them up to the entrance where they are stored inside. Now to get them there we do have to cross the main drive of the parking lot in front of the store. We always stop and let customers drive by. So as I push the carts up I stop because I see a guy in a pretty nice SUV. He is actually stopped in front of the entrance, maybe he dropped someone off, I do not know. So I'm waiting to see if he drives off and he then looks at me and waves me across, looks like he wanted to finish a call he had gotten or something. So I wave back and start pushing the carts across. I am on the other side when some clips me across the shoulder blades and it stung somewhat and pushed me forward. And at the same time I heard glass shatter, I turn around and the guy in the SUV clipped me with his side view mirror. It had swung closed and shattered the window in the door, and I'm just standing there wide-eyed. 2 seconds later the guy gets out of his car swearing up a storm at me and how I'm a low-life piece of shit and how I'm going to pay for a new window and that I'm not going to get anywhere in life because I broke his window. Now I'm the type of person that if I was the reason I'll take the blame and fix the problem. But this guy hit me, I blew up on him for about 5 minutes before a manager finally had the guts to come over and pull me away. I didn't have to pay for a new window as it was on video, but I lost my job because we are not supposed to yell and cuss at the customer. Edit. Holy shit, New Year and Reddit gold. Thanks guys. That's bullshit. The minute someone hits you with their car they are no longer the customer, they are that asshole who hit me with their car. They are no longer the customer, they are the criminal that just assaulted you. Fuck that guy. Edit. Wow, some of you don't understand what hyperbole is. I wouldn't call my manager, I'd call the police. It amazes me when people rely on an organizational authority instead of the actual authority. Campus sexual assault is one especially. If you're sexually assaulted, don't call your professor. Call the police. Edit. This comment got some attention. Thanks for the gold. But seriously, if you are in any criminal danger type situation, at work, school, home, file a report with the police. If the officer treats you like shit, go up the chain. State police, sheriff's office, whatever. Stay safe and watch out for others. I didn't get fired, but I was written up and yelled at management. It was the reason I quit a week later. I am in my early 40s. For fun, I took a part-time job at a Legoland Discovery Center. I love Lego and love kids. It was a blast most of the time. However, at Legoland, employees build their name tags out of Lego bricks and attach minifigs. Kids who visit can trade minifigs with employees. The rule is that we have to trade because it's fun for the kids. Great. The only problem is that the center I worked at didn't supply any good minifigs. We just built our own from the Build-A-Fig buckets. I worked in the photo and entertainment departments, and noticed that lots of our guests would bring in their extra minifigs looking to trade, but were disappointed by the selection. So I began to buy tons of the mystery minifigs and had a large collection of my own at home. Each weekend, I put a bunch in my pockets and put them on my nametag throughout the day so that I could trade. I liked having Ninjago or Simpsons or whatever. I wanted kids to leave happy about their trade and feeling like they got something special. Most weeks I spent $75 or more on minifigs for trading. On May the 4th, I pulled out all my personal Star Wars minifigs because I knew we would be getting a lot of Star Wars fans that day. I had Vader and many stormtroopers, etc. This woman came in with a 3-year-old girl and insisted that I give her my stormtrooper. She didn't have anything to trade, but I smiled and gave it to her. Then the mom went and took a minifigs piece from the build tables and made her daughter trade with me for my Vader. I traded but was irritated because I only trade one of my personal ones per kid. There were lots of employees to trade with. The mom just wanted her kid to have my nice ones. The lady goes on to another area and in comes a group of likely Star Wars fans. One of the girls had a Ninjago minifig in her hand that she had brought from home. She was looking for someone to trade with and was headed over to my section. I put Admiral Akbar, a fairly rare one you can only get from the X-Wing fighter build set, on my tag along with Leia, excited thinking that I'm going to make their day. In swoops the lady who demanded that I trade all of my figures to her kid who has 3 minifig pieces. I politely refuse and suggest that she ask the employee a couple feet away since we had previously traded twice already. She got very angry and began screaming at me because she had gone around the center and no one else had anything good. My manager came over and made me give her all of my minifigs, even the ones I still had in my pockets. I was written up for refusing to trade and not caring about the guest experience. I was so pissed because I cared very much about the guest experience. Not the pushy parent experience, but the experience of the kid who just loves Lego, and that's why I spent so much of my own money to make sure they left with something cool in their pockets. Edit. Wow. I'm amazed so many people care about this and Lego. I still love Lego. Didn't mean to disparage the company. Plus, Legoland Discovery Centers are owned by a different company. Edit. Gold? I'm humbled. I don't know how to process that. Thank you, kind Redditor. This one makes me angry. Fuck that lady and fuck your manager. It wasn't me, but I've been told about it. Some guy just passed his training for a call center and a few days in, he answers the phone to a customer and they get into an argument. The argument goes on for nearly an hour, and when the customer hung up, the guy called him back to continue the argument. The guy was in his late 50s and lost his job very quickly after. He called the customer back? That's hilarious. Not me, but my mother. She was working at an upscale cocktail lounge in Arlington, Virginia, just out of college. Fancy place, all DC businessmen. It was common for large groups of men to come in and get absolutely wasted. One night, a guy decided, after a few cocktails, that it would be hilarious to untie the wrap skirt that was part of her uniform. Bad idea. My mother was furious and dumped an entire tray of martinis on his head. She was promptly fired, but still thinks it was worth it. A woman came into a charity shop and complained about every single item loudly to the 10 or so customers in there. Along the lines of, "This is all shit. Who pays for this? Like we're some boutique with clothes from the back of a van." She clearly didn't understand how rarely new clothes, still tagged etc., are donated. Then she got in my face about it. I was so angry with her for chasing away the people that came in that I lost my cool. There was nobody left except her since she'd ranted them into leaving. I told her to get out and I didn't give a shit about the clothes or her opinions. She screams her way out of the shop, broadcasting it to everyone on the street. She came back once the manager was off their break and complained again, so I lost my job fairly soon after. I can't blame them, I'd have done the same. Sounds like she had bigger problems than clothes if she was like that. Charity shops are great places anyway, you can find some great stuff in them. I once found a good telescope in one for £20. I used to work at pizza place in a small town when I was a teenager. One night I took a phone order from some idiot woman. It went like this. Me, thank you for calling pizza place, may I take your order? Yes, I'd like a large pizza. Half pepperoni, half sausage, and half black olives. Me, okay, did you want the toppings combined or separated? No, I want half pepperoni, half sausage, and half black olives. Me, okay, so you want 1/3 pepperoni, 1/3 sausage, and 1/3 black olives? No, I want half pepperoni, half sausage, and half black olives. Me, I understand the toppings that you want, but I'm not understanding how you want us to put the toppings on your pizza. Do you want them separated by thirds? Combined together? Or do you mean put half the amount that we usually put on? What's so hard to understand? I want half pepperoni, half sausage, and half black olives. Me, lady, there's only 2 halves to a pizza. I want to speak to your manager. I got fired on the spot. It was easier for the manager to just hire another person than it was to lose a customer in a small town. Oh, and the lady wanted the toppings divided into thirds. She told the manager the same thing and he just went with her math. The bitch also got it for free. That seems like a really stupid thing to be fired for over a misunderstanding. It's not like you called her a stupid bitch. I didn't get fired, but back in the day we were selling a 1 foot by 2 feet pizza. The customer received their pizza, called back and asked for a supervisor, and the call went like this. See, this pizza is the wrong size. Me, we only have one size for the Yeti pizza. See, you are wrong, it's supposed to be 2 square feet of pizza. Me, it is sir. 1 foot by 2 feet. See, no. It should be 2 feet on each side to be 2 square feet of pizzas. Me, 1 foot by 2 feet is 2 square feet sir. See, look, I'm not stupid. I'm a carpenter. Length times width gives you square feet. Me, write 1 times 2 is 2. 2 times 2 is 4. See, silence. You are doing the math wrong. Phoo. And he hung up. Edit, corrected typo. I'm a carpenter. I would not trust any structures that he builds. Obligatory, it was my coworker, but I was like 5 feet away. We worked in the produce section of Safeway. He had gotten in like 5 minutes prior and was obviously in a bad mood when a customer comes up and starts complaining about her fruit. He tries the normal talking points, but the lady is being a bitch. Finally he just loses it and yells, "Fuck off you stupid whore." He throws his apron at her and leaves the store. Never heard from him again. That was also the day I worked my first 16-hour shift. Every business should have a mandatory "we do not deal with rude customers" rule. If a customer is rude and can't hold an argument like a sane person, then they are not to be served. If only the world was perfect. I work at Whole Foods. When someone is being an asshole, I just walk away. That's what I've been told to do. I do not get paid enough to get yelled at about crab salad. #CRABSALAAAAAAAAD. There's not enough crab in my salad, she said. Appease me with further crustacean instead. Crab salad, she hollered. Crab salad, she cried. Crab salad, I whispered, and silently sighed. Lost my position at a vet clinic. Story goes like this: woman brought in her 5-year-old dog that had diarrhea for the past week, was untreated for it. She was tired of the dog messing in the house, so instead of having the dog treated for the condition, she decided she would rather just have the dog put down. I proceeded to call her a dumb bitch while explaining to her the responsibilities that are involved when you decide you want to have a pet. I was fired, I never looked back. But you fulfilled your duty of keeping the animal alive, so you are still the winner. That is true. The woman gave the dog up and I found out he was adopted by newlyweds. I have a speech impediment, and back when I worked at Starbucks, this young African American kid would come in every day after school and order a caramel frap. Every time I told him it would be $3.50, he would laugh uproariously and ask me to say it again. After a few weeks of this, he'd start bringing in his buddies as well. Each one would order the exact same drink, then ask me to keep repeating the price for them again and again. After a few months, I broke down. You boys should know how much the drink is by now. My manager overheard and claimed I was being racist by calling them "you boys," even though they were all middle school age. Anyways, I still see the kids around town and they always shout at me, "How much are those caramel fraps again?" If "you boys" is racist to you, maybe you're the racist one. Worked at GameStop as a game advisor. Some guy came in and had a figurative ass load of games, over 100, to trade, all with games and cases mismatched. It took about 45 minutes to process his ticket. When I told him the total, it was low, because GameStop and also they were all old, scratched games. This man then proceeded to try negotiate with me, to which I kept telling him I can't change the price, which only made him angrier and louder. Eventually he yelled, "Listen you stupid nigger, I need at least $300 for all of this shit and you're going to give it to me. First of all, I don't even have the ability to change the price, at all. Second of all, my coworker proceeded to put all of his games in a bag, walk outside and toss them into the parking lot and told the guy to take his racist cousin fucking ass somewhere else and to fuck off. Store manager came out of the back room and fired him dead on the spot. The guy stormed out, and the second he left, my manager said, "Jesus, what was his fucking problem? Alright, get back to work." My coworker didn't get fired, it was just theatrics for the racist cunt. I felt like an idiot for just standing there, but it was taking everything I had to not hop the counter and hit the guy. Love the theatrics trick, a good manager knows how to use it. I worked in a hospital and some lady was irate for the wait taking too long. Among other things, it was an emergency room and she had been waiting 30 minutes tops. She demands to speak to the charge nurse, and the charge nurse comes out and writes down all of her complaints. As soon as she walks away, the charge nurse hands me the piece of paper and says, "Husky, file this in my drawer for me," as he points to the trash can. I think that's the hardest I've ever laughed at work, because he was so serious when he was writing down all of her complaints. My sister was the manager of a women's clothing store. At the time she was dealing with some personal issues regarding depression and anxiety, so she wasn't in the greatest state of mind to begin with. A customer came in with a pair of pants that had ripped along the inner thigh seams, which were well past the return period and had clearly been washed. The customer, who was a larger woman, went off on a sales associate, stating she'd only tried the pants on and that caused the seams to rip and she wanted a refund. She brought the associate to tears with her ranting and finally demanded the manager, my sister. Enter my sis, and the customer starts yelling at her too. Sis promptly tells the customer that her pants split because she was a fucking fat ass, she wouldn't get a fucking refund, and to take her fat ass out of the store and never come back. Sis then went in the back, called her boss and quit before she could be fired. Her boss actually was willing to let her stay, but she chose to leave anyway until she could get her depression issues under control. Took a solid year, but she's much happier and healthier now. Thanks for watching our video. If you like it, please smash the subscribe and like button to support the channel, so that we can create more quality content in the future.